Howdy everybody, Steve here, KM9G. You guys have been giving me a lot of grief lately about solar generators. So I wanted to correct that. There's a couple of things that come to mind. Number one is solar generators don't generate solar the same way gasoline power generators don't generate gasoline. Think about that one for a second. The other one is that a lot of the batteries, a lot of the solar generators, the power stations that I've shown you, don't really have a high amperage, a high current output on DC power. And that's why in the last video I had to run the radio off of a power supply, off of the AC inverter that was plugged in. And it's kind of funny because when I do videos that show how I get rid of AC stuff by converting it straight to DC, y'all are like, inverters are great, no problem. There's just like no winning, I don't get it. However, what I do get is the need for diversity and all kinds of amazing products, and I've got an amazing product to share with you, and this is actually a long-term test review. I pressed this battery into service a year ago in my RV, and it powered my day-to-day life every day for about 6 months. And then I switched it out with another battery, and I started using this battery in my Ham Shack videos. So you guys have seen this battery quite a bit on this channel and on the RV channel, link above. And if you haven't seen it, take a look now. This is the Dr.Prepare 100 amp hour battery, and it has a couple of really awesome features that I like. Let me show them to you. This is one of those double your power, half your weight solutions. The deep cycle battery on the right and the LifePo 4 battery on the left. This battery easily weighs 2 times more than this battery does. So here it is amongst all the other batteries that I have tested out on the channel, but this is the one that is important for today. This is a LifePo 4 battery. It is a deep cycle battery. It is a 100 amp hour battery. It charges at 14.6. It has a max discharge current of 100 amps, and you can charge it using a 50 amp charger. I usually charge it with a 40 amp charger. It means it takes a little over 2 hours to do. This thing is 12.8 volts, 100 amp hours, which converts to 1,280 watt hours. Technically, it's higher than 12.8 volts when it puts it out, but that's what it does, and it is waterproof. But this hub is what really makes this thing important. Without the hub in the battery, it does look a little weird, but there is this section right here that has Anderson power poles, and yes, these will provide DC output power. And you can also charge the battery using this, but you can't go over 15 volts and 12 amps using the Anderson power poles, where you can do 50 amps of charge on the battery terminal posts. Again, about the hub, this is where it gets to be really ultra super sexy. You have your typical solar generator type stuff where you've got your cigarette lighter socket, and then under here you also have a bunch of other really neat stuff. This is Anderson power pole input only, which is kind of weird, but we can get around that because we're hams. And then this is USB-A output, USB-C output, and a DC barrel jack, a 5525, I believe. This is only going to get you 10 amps out. And I think the cigarette lighter is also 10 amps out. Yeah, both of those are 12 volts, 10 amps out. And your USB-C, the one that kind of matters now, does up to 30 watts. So like, think about recharging phones or running tablets or something. And then when this thing is in the battery, it has some cool features to it also. There is an on-off switch here. Nice clicky sound. It's a rubberized switch because it's still got to be waterproof. And then there are some lights here that indicate whether it is charging or discharging or on, or in this case, it's off. So that just sits right in there. Ta-da! And I turned it on, and you can see a power indicator here. This tells me that the battery is full. And then this light here tells me that the hub is on. The low temperature cutoff is 14 to 21 degrees Fahrenheit for discharge. And for charge, it is 32 to 41 degrees Fahrenheit. The high temperature cutoff is 122 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit for discharge, and charging is 113 to 122 degrees Fahrenheit for your high temperature protection. This thing has 3,000 charging life cycles built in. It has a 10-year lifetime, and for those 3,000 cycles, that's 80% depth of discharge. You can run this thing in parallel up to 4 batteries, and it has this really neat stackable design, as well as some mounting plates. Those are your mounting plates, and those are your mounting screws. They give you, those look like 2-inch screws to screw into your cabinet frame, and then there's these little itty-bitty screws to screw into the bottom of the battery. And then there is all the scratches on the bottom of the battery from its year's worth of life, and then there is where the mounting plates go. So you get 5 screws on each side for your mounting plates. That thing's not going anywhere. I ran this thing on the West Mountain Radio CBA, the Computerized Battery Analyzer. They should put like 3,000 after that. Computerized Battery Analyzer 3000. This thing's a pretty cool little device. Basically, it is an electronic load. You turn it on, you tell it what to do, and it turns electricity into heat. Not a lot of heat. Don't try to heat your house with it, but you know, it's trying to waste the electricity in some fashion. And this thing, after a year's worth of hard use, provided 95.078 amp hours measured, 1,207.838 watt hours, and my test took 570 minutes. I think that's minutes. Yeah, 9.5 hours. So at 95.078 is when the battery reached its internal cutoff and shut down to protect itself. Pretty cool that it did that. And also not bad for a year's worth of use and abuse. So a little bit more detail about that first 6 months of its journey. It was inside of the RV and it was being charged with a sealed lead acid battery charger instead of a lithium iron phosphate charger. So that extra 5% that is missing on my test is a couple of things. Number one, it is the depth of discharge issue, it is the low voltage cutoff issue, and it is the improper charging for a year. It didn't really hurt it enough in my eyes. I mean, going from 95% capacity, going from 100% capacity to 95% capacity isn't much. I mean, yes, it's 5%, but I'm not going to run that low on my battery that I need to live off of, unless I'm doing a test for you guys. There you go. That's the Dr. Prepare 100 amp hour battery. And I think this thing is great. I actually pulled it out of the trailer and started using it in the ham shack because of its versatility. I do like the USB charging. I do like the USB-C ports on it. I do like the battery terminal post. Just like you guys do, you want to get high amperage DC output. So you can run your 100 amp hour battery connected to your 100 watt radio for as long as you like, especially if you plug in a solar panel and a charge controller. There is a link in the description down below where you can get this battery if you are interested. And there is a video right over here I think you'll enjoy next. Thanks for being awesome. I'll see you over there.